Good morning, guys. My name is Ricardo Carpio. I'm functional consultant here at Turnkey Technologies, and I have vast experience using warehouse management process, implementing warehouse management processes, and also using the warehouse applications that we have in the 365 F&O. So today we are going to talk, the topics that we are going to cover in this webinar are the document routing layouts for license plates, wave label layouts for pick lists, ZPL code, which is what we are going to use to create these labels inside the system, and we're going to run some demo scenarios for receiving and shipping. Okay, so I'm going to start with document routing layouts. I'm going to talk something or a little bit about this. So document routing layouts are created in F&O just to define license plate labels, basically. So with these layouts, we are able to create labels for license plates that we are going to use during the receiving process. So these labels typically are used when a receiving clerk is at the dock station. They get the products at the dock station and they start to receive the orders there. As soon as they scan the order into the mobile device, the system is going to generate this label. In this example, in the screen, we can see that we have a barcode, and that barcode is the one that contains the license plate. So this license plate is going to be scanned in the future to make the put away of the inventory into the appropriate location. Okay, we have like I said, we use ZPL code to create these labels. This is an example of the ZPL code. I'm going to jump into the system and I'm going to show you this. We basically have the available fields that we have for these layouts in the center panel where we have the labels here. And those are the available fields for license plate labels. Unlike the wave labels, the document routing layouts are limited to information that we have on the header of the documents, basically headers of the header for the purchase order, the header for the sales order, and the header for transfer orders. So I'm gonna show you that a little, or I'm gonna deep dive on that in the system. Okay, so next kind of labels that we have are the wave label layouts. These are mainly used for picking processes. And the reason why we have these labels as picking processes is because we have them available in the wave templates inside the system, basically. Uh, this is a new feature that Microsoft is integrating with as part of the standard functionality in Dynamics 365 F&O. So this functionality is available for everybody. You don't need to get any sort of advanced warehouse management license for this. You are able to run this kind of processes. These web labels, the difference between this and the document routings are that you have the ability to specify or to divide the label in headers, body, and a footer. So in this case, in the example on the right side, you can see that there is a header. For this label, you have the lines, which is, this is a picking list, basically. This is telling the user where to go and pick the inventory from. So you have the location where they should pick this inventory from and the quantities as well as the unit. The work ID is on the footer, and that work ID is the one that they can scan into the mobile device to start the picking process. Okay. As as we mentioned before, this is driven by ZPL code, and the ZPL code for the wave labels are also, it's also configured inside F&O. The only difference is that we're gonna have these headers, body, and footer sections. Other thing, other other thing that we can leverage of this for this web labels is that we can add more tables to this to create this label. So if you can see here in the middle in red, I highlighted the tables that we can put as part of this example. However, if we want to put data which is in another table, we can add that table into this layout and get the fields available for that table and print them into the label. Okay, so with that being said, let's jump into the scenarios. So I'm gonna open F&O, and the first scenario that we are going to run is the purchase receiving. So how do we create that label? So we start with the configuration, right? So I'm gonna go to warehouse management. In warehouse management, under the setup, I have the document routing and the document routing layouts. Okay, so these are the layouts that I have available. This is the ZPL code that I have configured to create this license plate label. So how do we see this in a printed format? So there is a way to look at this ZPL code, like the final result when we get the label printed. And you can do that by using this website, which is called Labelary. In Labelary, you can copy your ZPL code from F&O and paste it here. Okay, you redraw, and this is the result. This is the printed result that you're gonna get with this configuration into the document routing layout. So this is what we are going to expect once we print the label. So that's the first step. The first step to create the labels is I create my layout, right? So I put all the information I need to see into the label, and I configure that using the ZPL code. Once we have this ZPL code created, we need to create the document routing configuration, which is basically when are we going to print this label. In this case, this license plate label is going to get printed with the purchase order, right? So that's why we specify work order type, purchase order type. I can have multiple labels printed. As you can see here, this is an example. And this example is different by warehouse. So that's another thing that we can take into consideration when we create web labels. Every single warehouse is going to have their own label. So we need to create a configuration for warehouses, for multiple warehouses, if we have that scenario in place. Okay. In here on the document routing printers is where we specify what's the printer that I'm going to use to print this label as soon as I start the receiving process of the PO. We can add more printers here, so I can specify another printer here and say, okay, I'm gonna print this into this other printer. So that label is gonna get printed twice. And in here into the layout ID is where we specify which is the layout that I'm going to use when I'm creating the receiving process. Okay, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna just remove it. Yeah, okay, let's see. Okay, we're good now. Okay, with that being said, let's look at the label printing. So what I'm going to do here, it's to create these labels, we have some requirements into the system, right? So those requirements to print labels are, first of all, we need to have the document routing agent installed into the printer server in my company, basically. So this document routing agent is the one that is going to make the communication between F&O, Dynamics 365, and the printer itself. So in here, I have a ZPL printer emulator. So this one allows me to see the result of the label once I print it. So that's what we are going to see. Okay, so let's jump into the purchase orders. So I'm gonna go to all purchase orders within procurement and sourcing, and I'm gonna look for my purchase order. My purchase order is the 2250, is this one. Okay, I'm gonna open it just to double check what's the item that I'm going to receive and how many pieces I'm going to receive. So I have 100 pieces, and what I'm going to do here is I'm gonna copy um, this purchase order number. Okay, so then I'm gonna jump into the mobile device. So as part of warehouse management processes in F&O, we have this mobile device. This mobile device show me all the options that I have to complete processes related to warehouse management. And in this case, we're going to use inbound processes, right? So we are going to do the purchase receive. And in here, the system is asking me to scan the purchase order or type the purchase order number. So I can put the purchase order number, I scan it. Now it's telling me what item are you receiving. So I need to scan the item or just type in the item ID. I do enter, but before I do enter, I'm gonna pull the ZPL here so that you can see the printing process. So I hit OK. How many pieces? So I remember that I had 100 pieces. I'm going to receive just 50. Okay, so I say OK, 50 pieces, yes, OK. So the system is creating the work, which is the one that the people at the warehouse is going to use to complete the put away of this inventory. So this is taking a little bit long, but let's see. Come on.
Every good demo, right, Ricardo?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. So here is the result. As soon as it completed the work on the mobile device, it created the label. So you can see here, let me open this label. I have this saved as images. So I'm gonna bring it here. And then I'm gonna do this. Okay, so this is the printed result. This is my order, my supplier, my supplier ID, and the name of the supplier. We have the item ID and the license plate numbers here. As you can see, we have the ability to print even QR codes using the ZPL code in F&O. It's not just 2D codes. We can use also the QR codes in F&O. So let's do this as part of this demo. Let's add the quantity on this label. How do we do that? Okay, so if we have labelary, let's take advantage of that. So I'm gonna go to this labelary and I'm going to add the quantity right here next to the order number. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add another line. I'm going to copy basically what I have on the above line. I'm gonna change this number, which is basically the position of the field. I'm gonna use let me see what's a good number here. I'm gonna use 800. 800, and I'm gonna change this information. It's not gonna be the order number, right? It's gonna have a label for the field, which is the quantity, and then I'm gonna put the quantity. So I'm gonna leave this like that because I'm going to add the field into F&O. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna copy this I'm gonna go back to F&O, document routing, but I need to go to the layouts, right? So I'm gonna go to the warehouse management, document routing layouts. Here we need to edit, and then I'm going to replace this code. In here is where we added the quantity. Here is the quantity, right? Okay, so how do we add a new field into this code? So the way to do that is you have the fields available here, and like I said, these are fields that are most likely related to the header of the documents. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the end of the code and then look for the quantity. The quantity is right here. Order quantity, no, that's not the quantity that I need. It's called quantity only. Yep, I think it's that one. Let's insert it, and the system inserts the inserts the quantity at the end of the. This is the code that we're gonna use, or the label that we're gonna use to print that quantity. Okay, so I'm gonna copy here or cut it because I don't want to have that in there. I'm going to place it next to the quantity label, and I'm gonna save it. So now let's print the layout. So we have the ability to reprint the labels into the warehouse app. So I'm gonna go to the warehouse app. I'm gonna put my ZPL printer here. So I'm gonna go back. Just remember this number 9807. I'm gonna cancel here. I'm gonna go back, reprint label. Here is. Most of the times the system keeps the latest license plate printed. So that's why it's showing this one. So I just hit OK, OK. And now it's gonna print the label. Here we go. So as you can see here, we have the quantity of the full order. But what happens if I just want to print the quantity for the quantity that I received in this license plate? I can just change this, and the field is called quantity only. I know that because um, I'm really used to F&O. So I'm gonna save it, and let's give it another try. So let's print it again and see what we get. It printed. Huh, there we go. So as you can see here, the quantity says 50. Okay, so that's how we modify, or we can edit these layouts inside the label document routing layouts. Okay, so what's the next step? So the next step is the warehouse clerk would be scanning this license plate code to make the put away process. So that's something that we're not gonna do in this scenario. Okay, so let's jump into the next scenario. The next scenario is the sales order picking. So the difference between these labels is that the labels for picking processes are driven by the wave wave codes or wave templates. Okay, so those are configured on their document routing as well. Into document routing we have wave label templates and wave label layout. So I'm going to open the layout here. So this is the layout that I have. I have, like I said, we can put additional tables here besides the work lines and the work. We have the headers, we have the body, and we have the footer. So in this case, I have two different layouts created. One says that it doesn't include the container, so as you can see here under the tables, we don't see the container. So this is the one that we are gonna print. Okay, so this configuration for this kind of labels is a little bit complicated. It's not as easier as the document routing. However, it's powerful. So the concept is the same. If you take this code to the labelary, you can see that let's copy all the code real quick. Oh, it's here. You will see what's the printed result of this configuration. So let's copy this footer, and this is the result that we're gonna get, or we supposed to get. Okay, so let's what other configurations do we need as part of this layouts, these wave layouts? So the other configuration that we require is the template. So if I go back to document routing, I can go to wave label layouts here. Oh, sorry, wave label templates. And in here is where we specify when are we going to print this. Like I said, we drive these labels by the wave step code, which is part of the um, wave template, right? So this step code is the one that we find into these wave templates. These wave templates are the ones that allow me to create the label. So we have the wave label printing here, and this is the wave step code. Okay, so with that being said, that's the mainly configuration that we need, the basic configuration that we need to print these layouts. So I'm gonna jump uh, into the sales order. So I'm gonna I can go to either accounts receivable or sales and marketing. I have accounts receivable open already, so I'm gonna go to the sales order. My sales order is this one, the 2685. This order is for the same cables that I purchased. It's 40 pieces. And what's the next step here? So when the people at the, let's say that this is the sales support list on, um, the sales support list on, I, I'm trying to keep this like that. The sales support list on department. So they release this to the warehouse because they know that the sales order can be fulfilled. So they send this to the warehouse in order to be picked and shipped. Okay, so I'm gonna release it. And as soon as I release it, the system is going to print that label. There we go. So this is the label that the system prints. Maybe you cannot see it really well because it's too tiny. So let's open that in here. I have the image. So this is the order. As you can see, this is my order number 2685. It has data like the work creation, the work ID. This is the one that the people at the warehouse is going to scan to start the picking process. And the system indicates, okay, so this item has to be picked from the location 001, 40 pieces. And then this is going to go to a staging location, which is going to be, is like a packing location. So after they pack the order, they can put this in Vador and it's ready to ship. So this is the way that we create these labels into the system.